Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to Talkin Movies. I'm your host, the real Geno Reynolds. Today on the program, we're going to be talking about Adrift, which I guess you could call a survival romance or romance survival type of movie. This movie stars Shailene Woodley and Sam Claflin. Based on a true story, while sailing, a young couple is caught in a hurricane which damages their ship. They have to use what they have left to survive and make their way back to land. I want to give you some warning. Later in the review, I will be getting into spoilers. First, I will give my general thoughts on the movie for those that don't want to have it spoiled for you. But then I do have to talk about the ending of the movie because it's going to be really hard for me to really talk about this movie without talking about how it ended. Again, I'm going to be giving my general thoughts here. But I will give you fair warning before I do get into big time spoiler territory. The trailer for this movie really made me think that it was going to be just another romance movie, and then you add in some danger. Um, so I wasn't real excited about going to see this. Uh, then I saw it was based on a true story, and anytime I hear that, well, I know it doesn't always work. It gave me some hope that this might be different than the usual romantic schlock that Hollywood loves to keep putting out over and over again. So was this movie different? Yes and no. The parts of the movie where it was showing the relationship grow was really nothing new, and I'd say it's even cliche. The parts of the movie after their boat is hit by the hurricane, however, is where this movie's real strength is. The reason the two sides of the story work together is that we start the story right after Shailene Woodley's character wakes up after the boat is hit. She's all alone. You can tell she's hurt. And she is searching frantically for Sam Claflin's character. The movie uses a series of flashbacks all throughout to build up the characters' relationship as we follow them also during their trouble at sea. So the way it kind of cuts things in and out, I think was very smart because I think if they just would have told this where we meet them and we do the love story and then they go out to sea and everything's great and then the hurricane comes and then all the bad stuff starts happening and their survival. I think, and also I can tell you that later whenever I talk about spoilers that telling this story straight up would not have worked. But also I would say it wouldn't have worked because you would have basically two different movies. Like I said, you'd have the usual romance stuff, for the first half, and then the second half would be survival movie. And I don't think we would have been invested in the characters as much because the way they start the movie, you kind of get a little invested in them a little more than you would from their romance story. Shailene Woodley is pretty good in this. Her performance in this, for me, brings back better memories of her performances in movies like The Spectacular Now and The Fault in Our Stars. Hopefully she'll be doing more stuff like this and leaving behind movies like the Divergent series. She started off her career pretty strong. But then she got into Divergent, and she sputtered for a while. I didn't get to see the HBO show she was on. I heard she was good at it, though, and I loved her in The Spectacular Now. I thought she was really good in Snowden and The Fault in Our Stars. So, I mean, she's got a lot of potential, but when they try to cram her into like the YA stuff, it just really didn't work. So it's good to see her getting to do something like this, especially getting to see her do something where really the majority of the movie is based on her performance, because there is a lot of time where she's by herself, and she does a pretty good job. Sam Claflin is, well, Sam Claflin. Look, I think he's a fine actor. I've liked him in things. Uh, there's been a few movies I've seen him in, and I really thought he did a good job. That being said, I've never really been able to buy him as the romantic lead in anything I've seen him in. I don't see it. I'd rather see him do straight up acting roles versus having to be like, they're trying to make him the next Hugh Grant, I think, or something like that, where he's just the handsome British guy. I don't buy it. I think I want to say he's got to be, he's a better actor than that. In Their Finest, I really liked his performance before they crammed in the love story. I don't know. I don't buy him as the romantic lead. That being said, the parts of this movie where he's stronger is the scenes after the hurricane hits the boat. There he just has to act, not try to be the charmer that I can't buy him as. Whenever she finds him, his ribs are busted, his legs all messed up, he can't move. So he gets to act. It's not him trying to be, lover boy. It's him, being a decent actor, putting on a performance. And so his stronger part is his stronger part of this movie is after he doesn't have to be that romantic guy. The two do have some chemistry, but again, the romance stuff is nothing new. As with most things in this movie, their chemistry is stronger after the accident. I buy them as a couple trying to survive. I was just thinking to myself, it's just another couple with the romance stuff. So thankfully, the survival stuff, the performances, and even I believe that I didn't really count, but the time in the movie is spent more with them after the hurricane hit versus before. The story in this is pretty believable because of Woodley's character has at least some experience sailing. So when the crap hits the fan, you can believe that she can at least attempt to take care of business. If her character would have been, just the girl, if you know what I mean, just the love interest, and then all of a sudden she's an expert sailor, it wouldn't have worked. Her character is kind of a vagabond, and taking odd jobs to just travel the world. She kind of ran away from home in a way. It's just one of those she doesn't want to go back kind of things. And she's learned a lot and learned how to do a lot. And of course, when their relationship is building up, you find out they've been together, I believe it's 4 or 5 months. So she would learn some things. So, that made it a little bit more believable than just all of a sudden she knows how to sail. This also makes it more believable because, she's practically on her own, because Claflin's character, again, is pretty banged up after she finds him. Look, well, I wouldn't call this a must-see in theaters. It wouldn't be the worst rental when it comes out on Blu-ray. The strengths of the movie outweigh the weaknesses, but the not-so-original romance story does bog down the movie a bit. So, yeah, it's not the usual romantic schlock, but some of that usual romantic schlock is in it. That being said, after the hurricane stuff, that stuff's pretty good. But now we're going to be talking about the ending, and if there's going to be anything divisive about this movie, it's the ending. So I want to give you, again, fair warning that there's going to be... I'm spoiling the movie. I'm going to be talking about the end of the movie. So here's your last warning. Are you still with me? All right, if you're still with me, don't say I didn't warn you. Let's talk the ending. all throughout this movie, I noticed some things felt off, and I also noticed that the movie almost felt like it was telegraphing itself on some things. And when I start noticing things are off in any movie, and you can blame M. Night Shyamalan for this, I start to apply the Sixth Sense rule. That's where you start looking at different things. You look at you're looking for clues. You're also looking for character interactions and things like that. Because not too long into this movie, I had a hunch that Woodley's character is really on her own, and had never found her fiance after she woke up. And it turned out I was right. Now, it wasn't something stupidly supernatural like Safe Haven or something like that. Her character is hallucinating. The movie even kind of tips you off to this when Claflin's character mentions having had hallucinations while sailing on the seas and being alone and all that sort of thing. He's like, you're getting sunburned, you're getting sick, or and then the hallucinations come. And when he said that, I kind of wondered if that's where they were going with this. And then there's also a few scenes in the movie where you are going to be thinking this. At least I was. And so I applied the Sixth Sense rule of he's not really there. And like I said, I turned out I was right. But, again, it's not supernatural. Woodley's character, I can believe that she's hallucinating or seeing things because when she wakes up at the beginning of the movie, she suffered some pretty bad head trauma. She has to sew her head back together. She's got a big gash on her head. So, you can believe that, she's having issues thinking straight when they make the reveal at the end or near the end. Now, does this reveal work for the movie? I'll put it this way. It's a creative way to tell the story, which is, again, based on a true story. As I like to do with movies that are based on true stories, I go to History versus Hollywood. They disappeared for a while, but they're back now. They finally came back with I Can Only Imagine, and they have something for this on their site. So after looking at History versus Hollywood, the movie does a pretty good job at giving a sort of visualization to the real character's mindset during the ordeal. In Tammy Oldham's book, Red Sky and Morning, she talks about how she would hear a voice during the trip. Well, not the voice of her fiance, like the movie makes it end up being. She was guided by a voice, whether it be from her head wound or, if you believe this, something else. Is it a little dramatic or maybe even over dramatic? Maybe, but hey, it's a movie. That's all I've got to talk about for Adrift. Again, for me, I would say it's a rental. I don't know if I would want to make this a date movie because the ending is such a downer. Then again, apparently the ladies are loving them some Sam Claflin, so who knows? Again, I thought he had a somewhat strong performance, but it wasn't the romantic stuff. And Shailene Woodley I thought was really good in this. But again, I would wait to rent it. I didn't think it was a bad movie, but do you really need to go to the theater to see it? My opinion, not really. That's going to be all for Talking Movies this time. Thank you so much for listening. And if you enjoyed this program, please take the time to subscribe to the Real Geno YouTube channel. Like this video, comment on it, and do everything else that will help the channel grow. As always, I'm your host, the Real Geno Reynolds. See you next time.